So back at Team Quest in Temecula with Dan Henderson. Dan, it's been about a month. You're looking good. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Just feel like my conditioning's right on track and body's feeling good.
Been a long layoff. Is it kind of weird to think the fight's about 4 weeks away?
Maybe a little bit. It's, usually every time you schedule a fight, you schedule your training camp. Next thing you know, the fight's here. Training camp goes so fast. You're just kind of focused on day by day, and next thing you know, a whole week's gone, then 2 weeks, and then next thing you know, the fight's here. So, it goes pretty quick, and it has been a little bit of a layoff, and not quite as long as my last layoff, though. So hopefully, at this point, after this fight, I'll be pretty active after this.
I was watching you train today. We'll put some of that video up, and you were telling some of the young guys that it's important to get your rest, to get your mental rest and your physical rest. For you, at this point, how important is that for yourself? How important is it to be in the gym, but also to get away from the gym just to keep everything healthy?
Yeah, I wouldn't be saying things to guys that I didn't believe and experience and come to the conclusion of that over the years of fighting, wrestling, and all the training I've done. It's something that I practice myself, and if I didn't get enough rest, you're worthless in practice, and then you're worthless in practice, you get beat up, and then mentally you get down, and you just got to get a break from it sometimes. And if you get worn out, give yourself a break, give your body a break, and then come back fresh, and you're fresh mentally and physically, and you have a good practice, and you're right back on track.
Now, there's rumors that Filthy Tom Lawler is on his way in. He put it out on his Twitter yesterday that he's looking forward to coming to town and getting beat up by you for a couple of weeks to help you out. Can you confirm that Tom Lawler is coming in, and what are you looking for out of him?
Yeah, he's coming in. I'm looking for some good training. I wouldn't say that I'm going to beat him up, but I'm sure I'll be trying to do my best. But between him and all the rest of the guys I got in here, it'll be just an added body to really give me a good push, and it's more for really a test of where my conditioning is. You kind of get with the same training partners, and you get used to resting a little bit more because you know their style and when you could rest, and you get a fresh guy with a different style, and it really tests how you're conditioning and where you're at. So that's what I'm looking forward to out of him.
You've been doing this a long time as far as cutting weights, but I'm just wondering, from a psychological standpoint, fighting at 205, you look like you're right there, if not below that. From a mental standpoint, how much nicer is it? How much more maybe a burden off your shoulders that you're fighting at 205 and not have that lingering thing, I got to cut down to 185? How much does that help training?
I don't know. Typically in the past, I haven't really worried too much about making 185. Had a tough time this last fight, and that's a little bit on the unusual side for me, but it is nicer and it makes it funner for me not to cut weight. But you ask guys that are at one weight class, and they feel mentally they just can't handle that weight. They don't feel big enough, or they feel outmatched. And for me, I feel right at home at 205.
But what do you think you walk into the cage at? Because you walk around at 205. You see a lot of these guys, and we were watching Jake Shields and some of the guys at UFC that cut that weight to 170, but probably come into the cage at 185. If you're walking around at 205, doesn't that sometimes give an advantage to your opponent, who's going to rehydrate and come up a lot bigger?
Yeah, but I don't feel weak at 205. It's like I've always said when people ask me that same question, is I'm big on the inside. And you have to be in order to really perform at any weight class. You have to have a big heart, and mentally you have to be confident and know that you can do it. And I'll be walking into the cage probably at 203, 204.
Yeah. This fight's different than the last one because it seemed like the last one, they were pulling you in a lot of different directions with CBS, which is big. I know that's part of the game, but right now, seems like the promotion aspect has been a little bit calmer. How much has that helped as far as camp goes?
It really makes it nicer to not be pulled away in different directions, but that's part of the paycheck. When you got a promotion you're the main event for, you really have to promote the show, and they're paying you to do that. So it's a give and take, and you really have to find a good balance of that. And fortunately for this fight, I didn't have to do quite as much, and got some of the promo stuff done early, so I can really focus on the fight.
We'll probably do another one of these in 2 weeks, and then we'll talk to you in St. Louis. But from this point to about 2 weeks out, what's the most important thing for you?
Most important thing is for me to stay healthy and make sure my conditioning is improving.
Do you watch tape? Are you gonna? I know we talked a little bit about it with Shields. Do you watch tape on Babalu, or is he a guy that you know his style pretty well?
I know his style, but I need to refresh my memory and really watch some tape on him.
Will you start that early?
I'll start that about now.
About now. And then finally, I want to ask you about what happened in the UFC. Cain Velasquez beat Brock Lesnar. There's a lot of people that talk about wrestling's killing MMA. Just wondering if you had the opportunity to see the fight and what'd you take away from it?
I didn't have the opportunity to see it. I was at a Halloween party, so I missed it. But I heard all about it, and I picked Cain to win. I think Brock's great for the sport, and he's give him another year or two, and he could be unbeatable. But he's just experience in MMA just wasn't there, and Cain was a good enough wrestler and a better striker to wear him out. And I thought it would go 2 to 3 rounds with Cain winning, but congratulations to Cain.
Is wrestling killing MMA?
What do you mean by killing MMA?
Well, people say that the style of wrestling is taking it away. They're making these boring fights. You're a wrestler. What's your feeling on it?
It's hit and miss. It depends on the actual wrestler. Some of these wrestlers forget about their wrestling. I think wrestling's a great thing to have, but it doesn't finish fights. It's only a matter of control. So it's a matter of opinion on that. I think the wrestlers really need to, if they want to get paid in this sport, need to expand and make sure they're good with their striking and good with their submissions. But striking is where you're going to get a better paycheck.
Hey, Danny, as always, appreciate the time. Thanks. Stay healthy. We'll talk to you down the road.
Thank you.